जय राधे जय श्री राधे जय जगन्नाथ जगन्नाथ बलदेवा जय सुभद्रामाय जय गौरानिताय 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 जय गौरानिताय निताय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंसा परिव्रचार्य असुप्रसन्न श्री श्रीमद His Divine Grace Abhay Chadnaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada की ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada की आनंद कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य श्रीला हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधारा श्रीवासति गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधे कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम की मथुरा धाम की नवदीप धाम की श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी की यमुना माई की श्रीमती तुलसी देवी की सामवेद भक्त वृंद की निताई गौर प्रेमानंदी All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Namam Vishnupadaaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutla Srimate Bir Krishna Goswami Niti Namne Namo Hamsani Kashaya Prabhupada Priyayate Shruti Dashdi Nishthabem Tasya Vakyanuvadine. So, good morning and Hare Krishna to everyone. Welcome to this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Welcome to all our Mayapur online viewers and ISKCON Sydney YouTube and Facebook. So this morning we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 25 titled The Glories of Devotional Service, and we are reading from text number 23. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nasta Prayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Okay. So Mad Ashraya Kathamrishtaha Shrinvanti Kathayanti Cha Tapanti Vividha Stapa Naitan Madgata Chetasaha Mad ashraya kathamrishta
आश्रया कथामृष्टा
Shrinvanti kathayanti cha
वन्ति कथयन्ति च
Tapanti vividhastapa
वन्ति विविधास्तापा
Naitan madgata chetasaha
तान् मद्गता चेतसः
Mad ashraya kathamrishta
आश्रया कथामृष्टा
Shrinvanti kathayanti cha
वन्ति कथयन्ति च
Tapanti vividhastapa
वन्ति विविधास्तापा
Naitan madgata chetasaha
तान् मद्गता चेतसः मदाश्रया कथामृष्टा
Madashraya kathamrishta
वन्ति कथयन्ति च
Shrinvanti kathayanti cha
वन्ति विविधास्तापा
Tapanti vividhastapa
एतान् मद्गता चेतसः
Naitan madgata chetasaha Madashraya kathamrishta Shrinvanti kathayanti cha Tapanti vividhastapa Naitan madgata chetasaha. Okay. Mad ashraya, about me. Katha, stories. Mrishta, delightful. Shrinvanti, they hear. Kathayanti, they chant. Cha, and. Tapanti, inflict suffering. Vividaha, various. Tapa, the material miseries. Na, do not. Etan, unto them. Madgata, fixed on me. Chetasaha, their thoughts. Okay, so we've got the translation and purport by His Divine Grace, I.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, what we just chanted, the translation of that is, engaged constantly in chanting and hearing about me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the sadhus do not suffer from material miseries because they are always filled with thoughts of my pastimes and activities. So we can repeat. Engaged constantly in chanting and hearing about me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the sadhus do not suffer from material miseries because they are always filled with thoughts of my pastimes and activities. Okay, so the purport. There are multifarious miseries in material existence. Those pertaining to the body and the mind, those imposed by other living entities, and those imposed by natural disturbances. So these are the three miseries of material nature. The body and mind, and the other living entities, and those by natural disturbances. That's the three. But a sadhu is not disturbed by such miserable conditions because his mind is always filled with Krishna consciousness. And thus, he does not like to talk about anything but the activities of the Lord. So Maharaj Ambarish did not speak of anything but the pastimes of the Lord. Vachamsi Vaikunta Gunau Varanane. That's from the Bhagavatam 9.4.18. He engaged his words only in glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sadhus are always interested in hearing about the activities of the Lord or his devotees. Since they are filled with Krishna consciousness, they are forgetful of material miseries. Ordinary conditioned souls, being forgetful of the activities of the Lord, are always full of anxieties and material tribulations. On the other hand, since the devotees always engage in the topics of the Lord, they are forgetful of the miseries of material existence. Okay, so Mangal Charan. Om Agyana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vande Ham Shri Gurum Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today's shloka is quite classic one that everybody is asking about. And there is nobody on this planet, actually all the way up to maybe even the heavenly planets, definitely the heavenly planets. Everyone has this issue. And the issue is something that's very obvious. It is got to do with happiness. Why is this microphone like this? It's up and down. So, what was the problem? The problem was suffering and miseries. Everybody has it. And we can't really say anybody in this world is not suffering. Even the material, the entities, living entities in the heavenly planets, what is their misery? They're supposed to be enjoying. And, they have everything at their fingertips, and they're youthful. They had even babies. This is what my guru says. Babies are born in the heavenly planets. No, they're not. When someone is produced in the heavenly planets, they are produced in the youth form. They're not even babies. So heavenly planets is doing quite well. So what are their miseries? Well, for that, there is three miseries. One is by the body and mind. They don't suffer that. Now, but we do down here. Body and mind, it could be you've got a headache, or someone's sick, or any kind of body ailments. So that's one. It's not suffered in the heavenly planets much. We could say, well, today, just like last week, I was not well, so I was a bit late. People can be, the body gives us so much miseries. Or we could have some miseries given to us by other living entities. For example, Prabhupada in his class had said, even things like bugs, we have cockroaches or something in the house, or some kind of mosquitoes are biting you. So other living entities, it could be your enemy. Because or someone who considers themselves to be your enemy or behaves like enemies. So other living entities, they give you this misery. And the third one, natural disasters. There's been an earthquake just recently, and so many have died. In Turkey, we had amazing flood for the first time in Auckland. Auckland is usually, prone to raining, but not like this. So people lost their homes. So they're natural disasters. We suffer this down here. So we can't say, even the richest man on this planet, he can't say that he's fully happy. Because even the richest man is going to say, well, I'm getting old. My body is getting old. And no matter how they try, they cannot overcome such things. The money can only buy so much. So these are the three miseries we are suffering. So I was comparing that to even the heavenly planets. What are their miseries? Well, there's a fourth kind of misery overall. Overall, the fourth kind, they are generally, in our Vedics, there's three. But then overall, you combine it all, it makes up the fourth one. It is the biggest one. The most dangerous one is the misery of birth, old age, disease, and then death. That's the biggest one. It combines all the three. So the heavenly planets, they suffer from this one. And they are always in fear anyway, because the demons are trying to take over the heavenly planets every time. So, but they also have 10,000 years, celestial years, of lifespan. So even they have to die. So all of us are in some kind of predicament or other. And so this is the reason why we are sitting here, actually, today. Because we are wondering what the miseries are and how to deal with this. So I have a question for you. I know that there are people suffering outside, and they are not devotees, and they are. And then in this purport, it's written here sadhus. They are Krishna conscious, right? So they forget about material miseries. So my question is, are the devotees suffering then? Yes. Yes. And what's your reason? Why are they suffering? Yes. Yes. They're still under the the condition, the material modes of nature. They still are. So then, what's the difference then? What's the difference that sets apart a devotee and somebody else? Yes, correct. Correct. The amount of suffering. The elements are still the same. The Auckland, say for example, we have devotees there. Auckland had a flood. The non-devotees, they suffered the same flood, and devotees suffered the same flood. The only difference was the amount of suffering was different from each other. The amount of suffering for devotees is less. Amount of suffering for non-devotees is more. And the reason for that is one very important ingredient called tolerance. 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 We are taught in the Vedic literature, we are trained actually, devotees, how to tolerate. So, and mostly, we are taught how to tolerate is that we are given education on the nature of this material world. So a devotee in Auckland would have known, okay, this is one of the natural disasters, and we know it's coming, and it's always going to come today, tomorrow, next year, 10 years' time. So they have what is called, a very simple word, they have something that the non-devotees don't have. First of all, they have the tolerance, of course, but they have something else, and it's called understanding. They have understanding. So they have the education. That is the difference. So basically, then we then come to this stage where some devotees suffer less and some devotees suffer more. What is that? How is that? Yes, depends on how much they're surrendered. It depends on their spiritual level or spiritual, how advanced they are spiritually. So come hail or shine, if they turn up for devotional service, then I would say that they are spiritually advanced, because for them suffering and happiness, it doesn't matter as long as they are serving Krishna. And the biggest example, the best example is Srila Prabhupada. Even in the old age of 77, he left from India to the States. I mean, people at that age, they would stay at home and play with grandchildren and be retired and get ready to die. They wouldn't be out saving the world in such a big way. So that is the difference between, and Prabhupada here calls the devotees like that sadhus. Sadhus. So we can sort of gauge what level we are at. We can gauge what level we are at, what our spiritual status is, what is our spiritual level, just by looking at how well we tolerate these miseries. How well we tolerate. We know how spiritually, what sort of level our spiritual advancement is, just by the tolerance. So the sadhus, they are not miserable because first of all they have the tolerance. Secondly, like I mentioned, they have the understanding, which is the education, that this is the material misery, this is a natural disaster, or enemies are there, or my body is there, I'm aging, I will finally die. So we are educated. But then a spiritually advanced devotee, very advanced devotee, has all of that, plus he has more, a few other qualities that sets him apart from other Vaishnavas. And what is that? Well, I've mentioned it a little bit, a few seconds ago, that Srila Prabhupada, he turned up for devotional service no matter what the conditions. So sadhu, he will come hail or shine, he will turn up to serve Krishna. That's one thing. So he will not worry about the conditions. That's one thing. Second thing is, the reason he does that, not only because he wants to serve Krishna, but because he is concerned about the miserable conditions of other living entities. In other words, he cares, or she cares, can be she. Srila Prabhupada, why did he do that? First of all, he had to follow the instructions of his spiritual master. That was one. Because his spiritual master told him, go and preach in the Western world, in the West. But Srila Prabhupada, just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just like Srila Vyasadeva here, who wrote this book, the Srimad Bhagavatam, they all had one thing in common. And that was concern for the suffering of the living entities. So that is what grades Vaishnavas. Their tolerance, their understanding, their education, and how much they how much they want to serve Krishna. And then finally, the last level is how much they care about the suffering of other living entities. And that's what grades one Vaishnava from another. And so compared to them, say a non-devotee, and Prabhupada was giving this, there was a lecture actually on this particular canto and text. Prabhupada was saying, a non-devotee, something happens to his car or her car, they'll be like in so much anxiety. This is my car has broken down. And so, they're in anxiety. But a devotee, they will think, okay, well, it's a car. It's a thing and it is not permanent. That's the difference. So that's why a non-devotee will suffer more. They're in anxiety. That was one point he raised. So first of all, that understanding. And the second one, Prabhupada was saying, a non-devotee, what do they talk about? Any ideas what kind of conversations they would have? Non-devotee. What kind of things do they talk about? Films? Yeah. Yeah. What kind of persons do they like? What kind of people would they talk about? A non-devotee. Say, well, you were non-devotees once. I was a non-devotee once. The topic of conversation in my time, non-devotee time, were Bollywood actors or some politician who's done something or other. That's what they talk about generally. Or they talk about sports stars, sports people, some celebrities. They talk about celebrities, non-devotees. And these celebrities or politicians who are famous people, basically, they are not really equipped to save the world or living entities. They don't have any guidance, spiritual guidance. They are not able to provide this kind of education to people, living entities at large. And that's why that is one of the main causes of stress and anxiety, and that's why they suffer more, because they are talking about non-spiritual individuals. As in comparison to devotees, what do devotees talk about? One very simple answer is that there. What do devotees talk about? Krishna. They talk about Krishna. They talk about activities of Krishna. They talk about Lord Krishna himself, his pastimes. And they talk about devotees of Lord Krishna. That's all they talk about. So when they talk about those things and a non-devotee talks about politicians or some celebrities or other, that is the difference. And that is why the level of suffering and anxiety is more for non-devotees, and suffering of anxiety is the three material modes of nature is less for devotees, because devotees talk about Krishna. And that is what this purport was actually telling us. The sadhus, they're not concerned about the material activities. And it's really proven. We have people, we have some brahmacharis in the temple. What's happening outside in the world, they wouldn't know much if they're not really up to date with the outside. Even if they are up to date with the news outside, they still are not at that level of suffering, because they're concerned about what's happening in the temple, their service and everything. It doesn't affect them. The biggest one is Corona. Outside people are suffering so much. The temple was sealed off. They were quite protected inside, even though they had suffered, some of them had Corona afterwards. But not to that degree. What we are discussing is the level of suffering. The level of suffering for devotees is far less. And even rising of fuel, the prices, for example, will take one factor. Fuel prices are rising all the time. Devotees, they don't feel a thing, not much. Even though they do drive, they don't feel it as much as those commuting to work and those grihastas and everything like that, non-devotees. They're in anxiety all the time. So that sets us apart. And Prabhupada gave a very, and then in addition, because what we are discussing is obviously the miseries and suffering and the difference between non-devotees and devotees. But we are now going to discuss the solution for this suffering. So obviously, those of us who are practicing Krishna consciousness, they will tell you Krishna consciousness is the solution. Devotional service is the solution. That's the solution, yes. In what ways? Obviously, hearing and chanting. We hear and we chant. And this was the topic last week, which I was supposed to, which I was going to cover. Because one Mataji had asked. She had asked this very nice question. We are chanting and we are hearing, but I'm still not, what is the solution for getting the deeper connection to Krishna? What she was really saying is that I'm chanting, I'm still suffering, I still haven't gotten there yet. What is it? What is it that will give a deep meaning to, to really connect with Krishna on a deeper level, at the deepest level? So I knew the answer, but I was attending the class. So The answer really is a constant hearing and chanting. In other words, our heart, we were talking about the heart in that class, the heart is full of impurities, right? That's one thing. The heart is full of impurities. What are those impurities? Well, desires. I want this, I want that. So, and there are many impurities we've accumulated from previous lifetimes. So the chanting process is working. We are doing this. But we still haven't gotten to a deeper connection because our heart is still full of impurities. It is not totally clean yet. That's the answer. It is not fully clean yet. So we have some work to do. In other words, constant hearing and chanting. We could say more devotional service, we could say more devotee association, but that's really not the answer. The answer is still constant hearing and chanting. What is prescribed for Kali Yuga is hearing and chanting. Cheto Darpana Marjanam, that purifies the heart, and Hari Nama, Hari Nama, Hari Nama Eva Kevalam. Only solution, no other solution, chanting and hearing, and constant. And that was the answer. We still have work to do. Devotees have not connected deeply to Krishna because of that reason. Still work to do, still hearing. And Prabhupada, in his class, he said, I would have you hear. What is hearing? Hearing is the Krishna Katha. Talking about Krishna activities from the Bhagavad Gita, from the Srimad Bhagavatam, his devotees, his pastimes, about Krishna. Prabhupada said, I will have you hearing 24 hours, if I could. I was like, phew. 24 hours. That will really deliver you to that point of deep connection that the Mataji was requesting, a solution for. That's the answer. And he said, I gave you 16 rounds to chant, minimum. How many rounds Haridas Thakur chants? 300,000. So you compare that chanting, hearing and chanting we're talking about now, that chanting to your chanting. He actually said, you are nothing. He really made the devotees, the listeners feel very small, and it's true. So that is why we haven't deeply connected with Krishna, because of the constant hearing and chanting. So we have still work to do. We've cleaned some of our heart, no doubt. There is some cleanliness happened, but not fully. So that was one reason. But Prabhupada actually was talking in this class for this particular shlok because we are talking about miseries and how to get to the state of happiness, like not suffering. One of the solution was obviously to hear and chant. And the other one was devotional service, obviously, understanding. But he gave a very good example. He said, I have the boys and girls here. He gave an example. It was a really good example. He talked about the king of Zetland. I'm not quite sure where Zetland was, and there was a king. And he compared the king of Zetland to his own disciples, the young boys and girls who were in there. He said, the king of Zetland was asked, will you be able to give up all these material comforts, the 4 regulative principles, and chant 16 rounds and live like this? And he said, no, I'll be miserable. But his boys and girls, they're ready to give up all of those things and chant 16 rounds. And his boys and girls were happier than the king of Zetland. He was comparing. And he said, Prabhupada said, I'm an old man at that time. I'm an old man. I have no money. I have no money to give to my boys and girls. My boys and girls are sometimes, they don't have opulence to eat. They sleep on the floor. They're quite renounced. They're not practicing all of those things. They're not out there enjoying the non-4 regulative things apart from the 4 regulative principles. He said, they should really be miserable, but they are not. They're still prepared to sleep on the floor for me. They're still prepared to leave the 4 regulative, to observe the 4 regulative principles: no meat eating, no fish, no eggs. no gambling, no illicit sex life. And what's the other one? No intoxication. They're still ready to leave all that, sleep on the floor, wear very, simple clothing, and, go out on the streets and chant Hare Krishna. They live very simply in a small place like this. And the conditions are not good. He said, but my boys and girls, and they're in a Western body, and they've given all up, they're still prepared to do. Why? Why? He asked, why? Because of one thing, they are happy. And why they are happy is because he talks about Krishna. And he talks about Krishna Katha activities. He tells them about spirituality. He tells them about material miseries of life. He gives them real education. And they were intelligent enough to understand that. And they're prepared to fall sleep on the floor. And they were happy doing it. They were very happy doing it. So if you want to compare, and that's why actually devotees, they have this look of happiness. And for those of those devotees who remember, some of us are born devotees, so you can't really compare. But some of us who have not born devotees and become devotee later on, you compare your photo from the past and your photo from now. I could do that because I wasn't born devotee. The photos that I had before I became a devotee, I might have been younger looking and all those things. But the expression on my face wasn't as happy as now. There is an internal glow. There is an internal happiness that you get with Krishna. Just by knowing Krishna, just by practicing Krishna consciousness, just by singing a kirtan, just by wiping the floor of the temple. And I personally can guarantee I did not like wiping the floors in my own house. But I found so much happiness wiping the floors in the Lord Krishna's temple. There's such a huge difference. Can't explain why. Some people hate washing dishes. If you ask them what's the worst chore of the house, they'll say, we don't like washing dishes. Some people's houses, some of the devotees too, I'm sorry to say, when you go into the kitchens, the dishes are piled up like that. They hate it. They leave it till the last. They don't want to wash it. And they absolutely have to. But what about the dishes over here? Same time. They love scrubbing the pots. They do it. Just the task is the same. The task is still the same. But there's a difference. And that's why. So when we become devotees, there's an internal happiness that comes out within. And the reason is obviously Krishna. There's no other reason. The Krishna is the source of our happiness. And that was what Srila Prabhupada was trying to point out in this particular shlok, is the solution to happiness. In other words, how not to be miserable. Because we are going to be miserable, we are going to die, we're going to get old, we're going to get diseases, we're going to get natural disasters, we will have enemies who will try to harm us in one way or another, say bad things, spoil our reputation, da. All of that is going to happen. But we still, in happiness and distress, if we are focused on Krishna, we'll always be happy. We'll always be happy. Always. Until we die, and then we really are happily ever after, forever and ever, eternally. That was really the lesson of this class, particularly. And we are almost reaching that stage where we finish the class. But I was reading what else is there that I can, I can add to this, because we really need, and I saved it on my phone actually, we really need some guidance. Even though, we try to be devotees and we chant Hare Krishna and we, meet other devotees and we do our devotional service. Some of us are determined to do our service, like I am. I mean, last week Wednesday, I was in a really bad condition. I shouldn't have been sitting here. I should have told the, Prabhus that, I'll have to miss class. But I don't really want to, because it's the only service I do for Krishna here. So I didn't want to miss it. So come hail or shine, we come and serve. So some devotees are like that. Apart from all that, what is it, that we can, where can we get this guidance? I was sort of meditating on it, and I came across a very interesting chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And that chapter is chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjun is saying, Madhusudana. Why is he saying Madhusudana, by the way? He addresses Krishna. Arjun is, who is Arjun? Arjun is Lord Krishna's cousin and his friend. He never says in the Bhagavad Gita, dear friend. Dear friend, tell me. Dear cousin, tell me. He never says that. He addresses Krishna as Madhusudan many times. Why? Well, Krishna is the killer of a demon called Madhu. So why would he want to address Krishna as Madhusudan or killer of Madhu? Because the demons are in our minds. So he was asking Krishna to kill the demon of the mind. That's why. Because our mindset. So, in other words, how to practice Krishna consciousness, how to hear and chant more, how to, adjust our lives so we can become devotees or concentrate on focus on Krishna is the mind. How to change your mindset. And that was what I was really like, there was something missing when I was thinking of this class. Okay, so we are miserable, definitely. We are going to chant Hare Krishna. We are worshipping Krishna. But there is something that's missing. What is missing is our mindset. We have to change that. And so I found in Bhagavad Gita, Arjun was saying, Madhusudan, tell me, the mind is just like, control of the mind is just like what? We know about that one. It's like what? What did Arjun say? How did he compare his mind, controlling his mind? Yes, it's more difficult than controlling like winds, cyclonic winds. That's how our mind is. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to change our mindset. We might say, okay, well, more chanting, more hearing, but today I've got to go to work and I've got to do this and so you change your mind, basically. So how to discipline the mind so that you are fixed, focused. So what was Lord Krishna's answer to that? Lord Krishna's answer was, yes, it is difficult. That was one. That's what he said. Yes, it is difficult. But then the solution was, we have to learn the art of detachment. That was the solution. In other words, detachment. What is detachment? Prioritize. What is your priorities? Krishna is your priority. The other things we should not be so attached to, but fix our attachment to the activities of Krishna, pastimes of Krishna. So that was the solution. And all of that combined gives us some happiness. And that's why devotees, they exude an external glow. I can say that, if you want to know my age, everybody was asking my age. Mataji, how old are you? I'm past 50 now. I'm going to be 52 this year. So, but they're saying, I can say for a fact that I look better today than I looked when I was a non-devotee. Yeah, it's fact. And your aging process slows down. It's because your diet is regulated. Your thoughts are regulated. You are thinking purely. You are associating with pure people. You are not contaminating yourself or your body with things that you should not be eating, meat things and, anything that's sanctified. But there's an internal happiness that adds to even your appearance. The Lord Krishna's potency, his pastimes, everything about him, it like transforms even the appearance of devotees. So that really is the secret. The secret is hearing more. What is hearing? Krishna Katha. Krishna Katha. Where is the Krishna Katha? Here, right here. We're talking about it in the class. Where is the Krishna Katha? It's in the Bhagavad Gita. Where is the Krishna Katha? In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charimrita. That's Krishna Katha. And where is the association coming from? Because The Prabhu mentioned last night, we need devotee association. Where is the association? Well, when you read the Srimad Bhagavatam, you are associating with Srila Vyasadeva, which is the literary incarnation of Krishna himself. You are associating with Srila Prabhupada, right? That's your association. You are listening here, you are associating with some devotee sitting here, right? That's your association. You are sitting with other devotees, that's your association. So whenever you hear from the right sources, that's your association. Done. And mind you, not all devotees are good association too, unfortunately, because Maya enters the temple too. Maya puts you in an illusion. So you have to pick and choose. You have to use your intelligence, who you are listening from, who you are listening, associating with. It's all very important. But that's your association, hearing and chanting. And the more you do that, the higher level of spiritual advancement you will attain. And that particular thing that Mataji in the last class asked, how can we deeply connect with Krishna, is because we need to hear more and chant more. The more we do that, constant, the more advanced we will become. Really, that's the solution. There is no other way anyway. So that ends the class. Thank you for listening. Are there any comments or questions? Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, correct. Correct. Yes. Suffering. Yes, correct. Right. Yes, right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How to understand, yes. That's actually a good question. The Prabhu is asking, even though we say that devotees, they suffer less, right? Are they really suffering? Are they, they're going through, some of our Maharajas, our Guru Maharajas, they're on a very high level, but, someone is about to leave the body and they are in excruciating pain. So he's asking, can the sadhus, are they really suffering? I mean, it's hard to understand. How can they, be like this? Are they suffering or are they not suffering? Are they forgetful of the suffering? Are they happy? I mean, at that stage, how can they be happy? Right? It's hard to understand at our level. Well, first of all, the difference is that they have been practicing Krishna consciousness far better than us, And so their tolerance level is very good because Krishna consciousness teaches us about tolerance. So our tolerance level is not on such a high level. That's one thing. However, Prabhupada in his class gave one example. So I'm going to share that with you. One of them was Haridas Thakur, right? Haridas Thakur was a Mohammedan, Muslim. And he converted to Hare Krishna and he was chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, which is Hindu. And the Qazi there did not like it. So, because a Muslim turned into Hindu. And he confronted Haridas Thakur. And Haridas Thakur's reply was, so many Hindus have turned into Muslims. You never had a problem. Now one Muslim is turning into a Hindu. You have a problem? Well, the Qazi was not impressed with that. So he had Haridas Thakur whipped at 22 marketplaces until the idea was to kill him with whipping. So we are coming to that point. Someone like Haridas Thakur has been whipped. Just imagine one whip causes us so much pain. He was whipped in 22 marketplaces. How can he still be chanting? Was he happy? Well, What Prabhupada said in his class was amazing. Prabhupada said that those whips Chaitanya Mahaprabhu received on his own back. He received those whips on his own back. And so Haridas Thakur, being a devotee, would not have felt it at all. Or if he didn't affect him at all. So this is probably an answer in my understanding. Another one is Prabhupada talked about Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was a little boy, not even grown. He was a young boy, just a boy. His father was like putting him in snakes, boiling oil, throwing him from cliffs. Elephants, was putting him under elephants, all kinds of things. One little boy. And what Prahlad Maharaj said to Krishna was, I know how to be happy, despite all this pain, because I was all constantly remembering Krishna. Krishna was the source of his happiness. And Krishna was the one who protected him like Lord Narasimha there. That's the answer. So to answer that question, our Guru Maharajas are suffering. Obviously they are suffering. It's a material body. It's painful. But to what degree is probably their own personal experience which they would want to share with us or not, I cannot say. But it's something that they are experiencing, I cannot say. Whether they are fully happy or they must be in pain. But I can give you one other example of my own understanding, of my own spiritual master. He needed something like a biopsy or something on his back. They had to cut open the skin for some reason. And, he's a Prabhupada disciple, and he's on a very high level. He's one of the greatest souls. Our Prabhupada disciples who are giving dikshas, our gurus, they are one of the greatest souls, all of them, working on this planet right now. We are very fortunate. So he is one of them. So one of the doctors who happened to be a devotee of the temple, he had to, or was it she? It was a he, had to cut the skin of the back. And my Guru Maharaj said, no anesthetic, please. I mean, normally when they do, cut open the skin, they give some anesthetic, they would inject something. He didn't ask for it. And the doctor was shocked. He insisted, no. And then they cut open the skin, he didn't even feel it. He was just like this, gave the back. And so the doctor came and related this story in the offerings during the Vyas Puja. Said, imagine, he's my Guru Maharaj. So it was a disciple. Cutting open the skin of your own spiritual master without anesthetic. How painful that is. And Guru didn't even feel it. So the tolerance level is high. But who is taking the pain, we cannot say. Just from the example of Haridas Thakur, Lord Chaitanya took the whips on his back. Prahlad Maharaj got saved by Lord Narasimha Dev. Even I experienced something very recently, and I had to ask Ghanshyam Prabhu urgently to do a Narasimha Homa for me just now. So whatever it is that I'm going through is not a small thing. So, and that was direction of my Guru Maharaj. Go and get, chant to Lord Narasimha Dev. And I'm sitting here. If I hadn't done that, probably I wouldn't be sitting here today. I'd probably take like the rest of my time recovering something. And devotees meet me in the temple, they don't even know. I look normal to them. So, yes, does it answer the question though? That's how the devotees, so are they happy? Well, in my case, I'm happy chanting the names of Lord Narasimha Dev because I think it's a real huge blessing to get protection from Lord Narasimha Dev. Prahlad Maharaj on a very high level, I'm a very small. But Prahlad Maharaj, we can look at it and say, well, he's got Lord Narasimha Dev right there in person. How happy he would be. Haridas Thakur in bliss, in ecstasy. Dhruva Maharaj, he was just a boy and he went to the forest and there are snakes and things in the forest. When he was doing his tapasya or when his meditation. And what he said when he saw Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, I found a precious jewel. I don't really want, and what I was looking for, broken pieces of glass. He was happy. as anything. So yes, they are happy because they are on a spiritual transcendental level, which we haven't reached yet. That's why we cannot understand. It is beyond our understanding. Okay, answer that question. Yes, any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you for listening. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Puran ki